Hello and welcome back to Old Hammer and Tongs. I'm enjoying that rarest of beasts, excuse me, some painting time. As regular viewers will know, I have entered the Old World Army Challenge 2025 and I'm painting a Bad Moon Space Orc army. Big gobs, big mob, as I've called them. So here I am, I'm painting a tank. This is going to be a rhino. It's actually a proxy made by the wonderful Ramshackle Games. I'll put a link below. But it's a tank which looks very similar to a rhino. It's full of wonderful detail. There's quite a lot of battle damage on there, which of course is perfect for orcs. So the story here is that Big Gobs, Big Mob managed to intercept an Imperial reconnaissance tank, killed all the crew and then stole the tank and messed it up before painting it in Bad Moon colours. So I've got my trusty Bad Moon yellow there. This is an old friend from my youth, and I've mixed it in with a tiny bit of burnt orange from Cote d'Arms to create this lovely concoction over here. And I've got this super big brush. I found this recently. This is actually an army painter jobby. Look at that vehicle brush, it's really big. I don't really have capacity for an airbrush, so this seems like a good way for covering lots of ground in one go. So here we go. I'm just going to splodge on my base coats, and it is very nice to have you for company as I do it. So here we go. This is part of what the Bad Moons have done here is they've put in this little section here so that they can mount firepower on it, or perhaps even better, mount a commanding officer on it so that he can look impressive. To give you some more background to the background of my army, I do love a bit of unrequested narrative. The story is that Big Gob is the son of a very successful orc warlord. Big Gob has lived all of the privileges that come with being the son of a successful warlord. So incredible wealth, being a Bad Moon, he wears very, very garish and bright clothes. But when his father died, Big Gob was left in command, and that's where he has come up a little bit wanting. He's struggling a bit with that. So his mob has sort of slowly shrunk in size, and he's not left with much. But what he still has looks extremely glamorous. They're very well dressed and they wear really bright colours. So that is perfect for Bad Moons, and perfect for me because I do love bright colours. I think there's an element of Old Hammer. I think one of the things I love about Old Hammer is that it combined sort of realism with garish and bright colours really nicely. And Rogue Trader was, so much of it was incredibly dark and very gloomy, but a lot of it was also really, really bright colours. And if you go through the Rogue Trader rulebook and see those early Space Orcs, in particular those early Bad Moons, they are so brightly coloured. And then, of course, that's something that was documented further in the Orc books, where you could get a lot of illustrations, a lot of painted examples. So while the Orcs, here we go, and freebooters have got loads of really beautifully painted up models. I would love to own the originals of those books, but sadly they are super expensive. So I actually found somewhere some PDF copies and got them printed. Now normally I wouldn't approve of that sort of thing. You know, I'm a big supporter of the publishing industry, but seeing as though those books have been out of print now for 30 plus years and can only be bought at huge expense, I don't feel that bad about it. So there we go. But yeah, this is going on very nicely. That original Bad Moon yellow is such a beautiful, beautiful colour, and it's been well documented that those early Citadel paints last and last and last. That particular pot comes from the Orc and Eldar paint set, which was designed for Epic, I think. But I got that for Christmas or my birthday when I was probably aged about 9, and that would have been 1991, just to age me. And it's still going strong. Look at it, it's still painting true and looking wonderful. In 1999, some years later, I went to the Games Day, USA Games Day in Baltimore, and bought some of the now rather infamous screw top paints that were out at the time. And they dried up within a couple of years. They just didn't really seal properly. and the paint wasn't that great. Whereas these paints were absolutely wonderful. Great colours, they really last. I'm going to put a bit more on, I'm thinning out. And I just love working with them. Getting some really good coverage here. This being a resin model, I'd given it a good old soapy bath and a scrub down with an old toothbrush before applying the undercoat. I did use a spray undercoat. I'm a bit undecided about those. They are good in that you can undercoat a lot of stuff quite quickly, but they really stink. really stink. I mean, I did it in the garden here at home, and somehow it managed to stink out our entire house for about 48 hours afterwards, even though I'd used it in the garden. So I have no idea how that happened, but I was slightly worried that I might asphyxiate the entire family. And, you know, I love the hobby, but I don't want to do that. So, yeah, if anyone has any alternatives, please do shout out in the comments. I've undercoated some stuff by hand. That can work okay, but is time consuming. So not ideal when you're doing an army challenge. An airbrush is another option, but part of the reason I'm painting this by hand is because I have quite a limited paint setup. You know, I have to get everything out of the box every time I want to paint, and the prospect of having to get an airbrush out and use it and then clean it up at the end as well, because I'm quite often painting in short periods of time, sort of, you know, a spare half hour here, a spare hour there. Gotta say, this coverage is looking really nice. I hope you can see that, but it's looking great. So an airbrush didn't really seem to suit my needs. So if anyone has any ideas of what I can do as an alternative to rattle can undercoats, please do shout out in the comments. Because this, you know, this has done a good job, but like I say, I was feeling pretty weird after using it and inhaling all of those toxic fumes. I don't think it's really fair for everyone else in the family to have to do it too. So yeah, let's hear from you. But in the meantime, this big brush, I must say, is changing my life. I've not used one of these before, but it's doing a great job. It's really getting everything on nice and quickly, nice and evenly. It's even getting in some of those nooks and crannies. So I think this is great. I'm very pleased with this so far. It is getting through the paint a bit, but I did expect that to happen. So I may have to put some more on in a moment. Here we go. So there we are. Just finishing off some of these detail areas. There we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Lovely jobby. So what do you think? What do you think here? I think that's a sort of light slash viewing panel for the crew inside. I'm thinking about just painting it yellow. But if you have any ideas, do shout out below. I'm not promising that I'll listen, but it would be great to see what your thoughts are. And then at least I can make a decision about whether or not I listen to people who are doubtless much more sensible and experienced than I am about these things. But, you know, sometimes you just got to make your own hobby decisions, haven't you? You've got to make your own mistakes and learn from those. So I've actually got some razor spikes I'm going to put down here, but I'll paint it anyway, just in case there are any bits that you can see through. Try and make sure you can see what I'm doing there. So I'm just getting into this front section here. That's where you put your number plate. Orc 1. There we go. Gosh, I pretty much used up all of that paint now. There's a little bit left. There we go. Let's try to get this front panel done if we can. There we are. I'm going to have to get some more paint out. Well, I tell you what, I think I might call this video quits at this stage. Thank you so much for joining me. That's been pretty quick. And I've been recording for 9 minutes. And I've almost finished the base coat of the main body of the tank, the chassis. So I've got these two side sections to finish. I've done these middle bits red, so they'll really pop out. And also, if I'm brave enough, I'll try to freehand some awesome Bad Moon logos onto them. Logos? I'm sure there's a better word than that. But yeah, I might give that a shot. But I will keep you updated with how this turns out. Thank you so much for joining me for a bit of absolutely precious, treasured painting time. It's been my pleasure. I will keep you updated on my progress with this tank and with the challenge overall, and look forward to seeing you next time. You can check out my progress with other old World Army Challenge projects in some of my other videos, and I'll also put a link to the blog in the notes below. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye bye.